Good evening to all of you, and thank you for joining us on 13 Plus. I'm Mary Coleman. Hope you're having a great Tuesday evening. Let's dive right into our stories for this evening. Well, in this week's 13 Crime Files, we speak with U.S. Marshals about why they are working hard to find a woman charged with attempted homicide. Gem show season in Tucson is among one of the most heavily trafficked times of year, bringing in people from all walks of life, including criminals.
Angela and her co-defendant are affiliated with a group called the Rainbow Family. It's known as a transient type group that frequents gem shows and other types of festivals where they make jewelry and things like that, and they just travel around the country selling those items for money.
In January of 2019, Angela Burnley and Ian Snyder got a ride from their victim in Quartzsite to come to the gem show in Tucson.
They get to the gem show here in Tucson, here at the Park and Go off of I-10, and in the late evening of the 30th, there's an incident that occurs where it's alleged that Burnley and her co-defendant stabbed the victim in excess of 20 times, effectively leaving him for dead.
But he was rushed to the hospital and survived. Burnley and Snyder fled. He was eventually arrested and convicted, but U.S. Marshals want to bring Burnley to justice. She has been charged with attempted homicide, stabbing the victim with his own knife.
The EMTs and hospital personnel counted over 20 stab wounds. One of them did slash his throat and he lost a large amount of blood. If it hadn't been for the individual there at the scene that provided some life-saving measures, he would have likely bled to death.
U.S. Marshals believe Burnley still poses a threat to those in the public.
They're unsure of what transpired that triggered this event, and it's likely that something else could occur or maybe has already occurred, and they're trying to figure out who it is, and another incident could happen where she's triggered and tries to kill somebody.
If you have any information about this case, you are asked to call 88 Crime. On to our second story for this evening. A Georgia woman's fight to keep custody of her daughter almost landed her in jail. Our national investigative team explains how it happened and who exactly was responsible.
According to Nationwide Children's Hospital, each year roughly 1 million children in the U.S. will experience their parents' divorce. When it comes to custody, the needs of children are a top priority.
A Georgia woman says the fight to keep her daughter in her home almost led to her wrongful arrest.
Investigative reporter Brendan Keefe explains how 3 law enforcement officers stepped in and called out one of their own in uniform.
Drug agents set up covert surveillance on this quiet Griffin Street. The anonymous tip to the head of the drug unit said a woman had illegal drugs with a young girl inside the home.
So far, we've found nothing.
Records show it was a suspected narcotics distribution center, so Spalding County deputies kept watching the house. All they saw was Macy Jones and her 3-year-old daughter, with no signs of illegal activity.
They've done surveillance for 2 or 3 days at least, and they haven't seen anything.
The 3 sheriff's office drug agents became increasingly suspicious of that anonymous tip and of their own commander. The investigation shifted from the mother to the head of the narcotics unit, Lieutenant Chris Boyles.
Where did you get the info from the complaint?
Tyler Andrews, I've known him for a number of years.
The source of the anonymous tip wasn't just a close friend of the drug unit commander. Tyler Andrews is also the father of the little girl.
Did Tyler ever have any conversation with you about anything related to if Macy was arrested, this would help with custody case?
He did say that if she got arrested, it probably helped that. I'm like, yeah, it probably would. I'm sure a drug arrest for somebody wouldn't look good in civil court for child custody.
An arrest of that person that you were investigating could weigh the outcome of a court proceeding. Why didn't you pass that on to the agent that was investigating?
I didn't see it as relevant at the time. All I said was that if she were to be arrested, it would help in
Custody case.
Custody case, yes. At no point was I going to use my position to help him in any way.
The sheriff immediately fired Lieutenant Voiles, ending his 2 decades on the force. We uncovered the case file a full year later, and as soon as I saw Macy's name, I called her from the sheriff's office parking lot.
To assist a personal friend gain custody of a child through deceitful means. My first question was, did they tell Macy? Because this would...
No, you were the first person to tell me that.
So they never told you?
No.
Were the police going to raid my house and kick my door in with my daughter there and take me in cuffs in front of her?
If those drug agents hadn't stepped up and turned in their own commander, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Right. Yeah. I would love to meet them and tell them thank you, because you're right. If it weren't for them, who knows where we would be? My daughter may not even be with me. I may be behind bars.
Why didn't Sheriff Dix just pick up the phone and call you and tell you this happened?
Even as a courtesy, that's what I would like to know. I mean, if I was that close to, losing my daughter, going to prison, completely ruining my life, and someone lost their job over it, why would you not call me?
All rise. Superior Court of Spalding County is now in session.
Now a judge will hear the case. Macy Jones is using the sheriff's office investigation in a bid for full custody.
Macy Jones versus Marcus Andrews.
Sitting right next to Andrews in court, his friend and now former lieutenant, Chris Voiles. The sheriff filed paperwork with the state which revoked Voiles' police certification. He can never be a cop in Georgia again.
I don't want to see another innocent mom go through this.
The father, Tyler Andrews, would not do an interview with us. He did not testify. In fact, his attorney didn't call any witnesses at the next hearing. The same goes for Lieutenant Chris Voiles. He was in court but was not called to testify. The judge gave the father supervised visitation every other week on a temporary basis, but for now, the mother has sole custody.
And we leave you with a live look from Mount Bigelow tonight, where that sun is setting. You see a little bit of a breeze in those trees there. Hope everyone is having a great week so far, and we hope you'll join us for more news and weather on 13 News Live at 10. Have a great night.